Perfect. All right. So I'm here with Tasdeep. He's one of our newest associates. And how are you, buddy?
And I'm great. What about you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for asking. And we're talking about leads here right now because he's gonna begin his first month. We want to make sure we can take him from contracts to commissions as fast as possible. And some of our agents come with a warm market, right? They say, hey, I have not tapped into my warm market. I haven't talked to my mom, my dad, my brother. I haven't talked to nobody. But I want to tap into leads, right? And a little background on Tasdeep. He comes from the industry, recently parted ways with a company and made an attempt at Family First Life at FFL. Wasn't necessarily working for him, and through one method or another, we communicated. He reached out to me. He looked into the TKO platform and says, "This is a place that I want to hang my hat." And one of the many benefits of being with TKO, being that we're non-captive, is that he has the opportunity to select what he wants to do with us, what he wants to do with other organizations. And today we're talking about leads. And I thought it'd be beneficial to do a training on leads because a lot of people have a misunderstanding about leads. A lot of people think, oh my God, I'm getting a list of people that are dying to buy. They're dying to just give me a check. And then when they buy the leads and they see that it's not really like that, they get discouraged. And so they start, oh, these leads don't work. They're bad. They're this, they're that. The reality is this: leads work, but you got to know what kind of work activity you need to do in order for it to work for you. Point blank, period. I'm not here to tell you that there aren't bad lead companies. I'm not here to tell you that there aren't, the right ones to purchase, the wrong ones. I'm just here to tell you, even the best of leads, even the most expensive of leads, the most real time of leads, there's a level of activity you need to do that's very different than working a top 25 warm list. That's very different than just calling. Okay, so we're going to talk about that today. Rule number one when figuring out which leads you want to buy. One, I recommend you avoid telemarketing leads. Mm-hmm. Why? Because telemarketing leads means that there's a call center 90% of the times not in the country that's calling pretty much the yellow pages and getting people convinced that they want life insurance. And unfortunately, I don't like those because sometimes people will say they're interested just to get off the phone. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, you have to understand it's a lead from someone that was convinced they wanted insurance. I would much rather purchase what's called social media leads, ad campaign leads, even mailer leads. Why? Because those, the person reached out looking for insurance. The person reached out. We didn't reach out to them, or a marketing company didn't reach out to them and convince them. This person actually filled out a questionnaire because they're looking for insurance. I would much rather those types of leads, right? Now, when you do that, you've got to understand that there's four types. You have mailer leads, which means the person filled out a form, mailed it in, right? There's probably going to be a 45 to 60 day time horizon from when they filled it out, got it to the marketing company, and then that marketing company sells it to you. Those are one. Second type are aged leads. Aged leads are typically between, anywhere from 90 days to 1 year old. They've already been resold a couple times. There's a high probability that some of them already purchased insurance. Those are aged leads. I'm not going to say that they don't work. I'm going to say there's a different level of activity you want to do for that, right? The third type is what's called pre-generated leads, which means that they're not in real time, right? They're somewhere between 15 days to 85, 90 days, and someone just hasn't purchased it yet, right? And because there hasn't been a demand for that purchase, or because there's a huge volume of leads coming from that location and not as high of a demand for the purchase of them, they haven't been contacted yet, right? And then there's what's called real-time leads, or exclusive leads. Those types of leads are coming to you in real moment. The moment the person fills out the questionnaire, whether it was on social media, whether it was on Google or wherever, the information is extracted, pushed to the marketing company. The marketing company then pushes it and sends it to you. Maybe they send it to you as an Excel file. Maybe they send it to you as a Google Sheet file. Maybe they insert it directly into your CRM. And when they insert it to you, it's within, 5 minutes to 5 hours of when the person filled out the questionnaire. That's kind of how they work, okay? Now, let's talk about the term exclusive, okay? People have a misunderstanding thinking this lead is mine and no one else has it. Here's what I want you to understand. The marketing company that sold it to you, if it's an exclusive lead, they gave it to you and they're choosing not to give it to anybody else. Cool. But what's stopping the client, the very client that filled out that questionnaire of that marketing company, to not fill out 4 or 5 other questionnaires from 4 or 5 other marketing companies. There's nothing stopping. I mean, if you've ever shopped for something, you know, at least when I shop for things and I browse around online. Have you ever like looked for something on Google and then you go to your Facebook and all of a sudden what you're looking for is popping up every single place you can on Facebook? It's because Google and Facebook talk to each other. So like right now, for example, you go to Google and you type of mobile car wash.
Mm-hmm.
You do that. When you go to your Facebook account, you're going to see 10 advertisements from 10 different mobile car washing companies, right? There's nothing stopping anybody from filling out a questionnaire from all 10 of those different marketing companies, all 10 of those different advertisements. So when you have to understand, exclusive means that company you bought it from is making a commitment to make that exclusive to you. They're not selling it to anybody else but you for a time period. Eventually they will resell it, but it's not stopping other companies. So what does that mean? Even when you get an exclusive lead, time is of the essence. You always got to feel like there's another agent behind you that's about to make that phone call, about to reach out to that person, and you want to do it first, point blank, period. You also want to understand that when you do make a client and you do make the sale, there's probably going to be 4 or 5 other agents behind you that procrastinated more than you did that are going to try to resell that client or replace your business. So you've got to do a good job of giving them a quality product. You got to do a good job of providing them a customer service that makes you stand out from the rest. And more importantly, you got to do a good job of prepping them, letting them know there will be other people that'll call them and what to do when that happens, because you want to retain that client. Make sense? Awesome.
Yeah.
No such thing as an exclusive lead that doesn't eventually get resold. I just want you to understand that. It just doesn't exist. Eventually, they will resell that lead. It's exclusive for a certain time period. Now, let's talk about ratios. What should be the ratio of a success, right? For an aged lead, right, or a pre-generated lead, every 100 leads should provide you 3 sales. That doesn't mean every 100 leads you buy will give you 3 sales. I'm talking about averages. Maybe your first batch of 100, nobody buys. Maybe your second batch of 100, nobody buys. And then all of a sudden your third batch, 10 people buy. It's crazy. There's no mathematical formula for it. Sometimes it's like, man, none of these people are interested. Sometimes it's like, man, everybody's interested. It's crazy. Sometimes they get mad at you for calling because they already bought. Sometimes they get mad at you because you didn't call them fast enough. But if you do this business and you run a lead gen based business long-term, right? When you look at your business in a 3-month window, a 6-month window, a 9-month window, or a 12-month window, and you figure out your averages, you'll start to average every 100 aged leads generated 3 clients. Every 100 aged leads generated 3 clients. Every 100 aged leads on average generated 3 clients. Sometimes the 100 generates 5, sometimes the 100 generates 2, sometimes 100 generates 0, sometimes the 100 generates 10, but it averages out every 100 generate 3. Why do I say that? Because if you're going to buy a lead list of 100 and you don't get the success, and because you don't get the success on your first round, you're out. You're not prepping yourself for what this business really entails. You're getting out too soon. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Every 20 exclusive real-time leads generates 3 clients as well. That's the way it works. And the same thing applies. Sometimes you buy 20 and nobody buys. Sometimes you buy 20 and 1 buys. Sometimes you buy 20 and 10 buy. You look at your business 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. You look at how many of those you bought and how many of those you sold. It averages to every 20, roughly 3 buy. Now let's talk about those 3. Let's talk about those 3, because those 3 are 3 different types of people. One person, take out my wallet real quickly, give you a visual example. One person has the money like taped to their forehead. They're like, take my money. All they need you to do is call them, quote them, they're ready to buy. It's just the way it is. One of those 3 is always like that. The second person has his money in his wallet. And he's like, I'm not going to show you my money. I don't want to show you that I'm interested, but I am interested. I just need you to educate me on the types of options that are available to me. And if you can educate me, I'll buy. That's the second type of person. The third type of person doesn't really know if they want to buy at all. That person's going to give you a hard time. That person's going to probably tell you no on the phone and might need you to actually knock on their door. That person needs convincing. That person's going to give you objections. That person's going to complain. But that third person will buy if you can overcome the objections and you can provide them an education as to why they need the insurance. That person probably filled out the questionnaire kind of inquiring because maybe a family member told them that they need it, or maybe a family member filled out the inquiry. That's why I say that person needs convincing. But is it important that you push and you acquire that third client? It's going to be about a third of your income. That's the difference between making $66,000 a year, making $100,000 a year. It's that extra third client. extra third client, extra third client that you hold out for. If you're just trying to work with the people that have a, cash on their forehead, you're not going to make a 6-figure income. You're not, right? You're just not. It's not the way it's going to work, right? Because you're missing out on the person that has their money in their wallet that needs you to educate them, and you're missing out on the person that needs you to really hold and do good at objection handling, do good at the education side to get that person to buy. Does that make sense?
Yeah. If you don't mind me asking, what are the 3 types of clients? Or once again, one of them is money in the forehead. The other one is we need to push them a bit more. And what is the other one?
Yeah. So one of them's got money in his forehead, like, here, take my money. The other person has money in his wallet. He's not telling you he has money in his wallet, but he wants you to just show him that you know what you're talking about. The third person doesn't know they want to buy, doesn't think they want to buy, and they need convincing. That's how it is.
Okay.
100%. Right. So now let's talk about the activity that you need to do on these types of leads in order to be successful, because it's very different to work a top 25 warm list than it is to work a lead list. It's a whole different level of activity. Okay. Here's the activity. Ready? Minimum 500 calls a week. Minimum 500 calls a week. You got to be willing to call people 10 to 15 times. So don't think just because they haven't answered the 3rd, 4th, or 5th that they won't answer the 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, or 15th. It's crazy, but that's the way it is. Warm lists, top 25 lists are very different numbers. Those lists, you want to call them 3, 4 times and then stop type scenario. You want to make probably 200 calls a week with warm lists. But when it comes to leads, you're talking 500 calls a week. You're talking calling these numbers 10 to 15 times. And the third thing I'm going to tell you is you should block off a day on the weekend to drop by people's houses that haven't picked up their phone. Because here's how I see it. You paid for the number. You paid for the lead. You deserve to get that person to tell you yes or no. What you don't deserve is the person not to answer your call and not to give you an answer. You deserve to get a yes or a no. So a lot of the times that third person is that person, the one that doesn't answer their call, that you need to knock on the door unexpectedly, introduce yourself to them and try to make an attempt at making a sale. But you need to. I've learned that the people that run successful lead gen business do not have a problem doing drop-bys. They just don't have a problem doing drop-bys. I've learned people that are good at lead gen businesses are people that'll make 500 plus calls a week. I've learned people that run lead gen businesses are people that have committed to buying a certain dollar amount every week, which leads me to my next question, but I want to answer your question. What's up?
Oh, no. I don't have a question. I don't.
Here's my next thing I want to teach you. You have to make a commitment to a certain dollar amount that you want to invest on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, regardless if you get success or not. Because just like I said, maybe your first or second list don't give you the successes that you want, but the third one explodes. You've got to commit. It's almost like making a 90-day run commitment where you're like, okay, for 90 days, 3 months, this is what I'm going to do no matter what. When you average it out, you'll get your successes. It just might not come in the very beginning. It might not come in the middle. It'll come right at the very end. Or sometimes it comes in the middle. Sometimes it comes in the front end. It's the luck of the draw. What was your question?
Yeah. So here's my question. Like on average, let's say, how much would on average, how much do people invest and what is their ROI on leads on average?
Good question. So because that was the next piece I'm going to go into. So a very successful leads gen insurance agent, okay. When I say successful, I'm talking $250,000 a year of income. They're probably investing about $1,000 a week. That's $4,000 a month. That's $48,000 a year. So think about it. You invest, let's just round up 50 grand and make 250,000. Are you upset?
No,
not at all. That's a good number. Now where are they investing, right? If you're spending $1,000 a week, you're probably buying somewhere around 40 real-time leads per week and another 100 to 150 age leads a week. They're buying a combo of both. At least at my organization, that's what they're doing. Now, why are they doing it in that method? Here's the secret sauce of what it is to work with TKO. We have a CRM system called Jarvis that we created, a proprietary system. This is more than just a CRM, pipeline tracker. This is an artificial intelligence on steroids. And so what they'll do is their real-time leads, the moment they come in, they call it with their phone. Boom, boom, boom. At the end of the day, they upload that lead into the CRM. But the age leads, that 100 to 150 that they're buying every week, they're automatically putting all of those leads into the CRM system right away the moment they buy it. Here's why. the CRM system is built with a 12-week drip campaign for every single lead you upload. 12 weeks, that's 3 months. Think about that. For 12 weeks, that lead is going to get a text message, an email, and every single time you do a speed dialing session, it's going to automatically drop a voicemail behind your calls, automatically without you doing anything. And here's what's crazy. When the lead responds to the text message or responds to the email, you're going to be notified by the lead. Not by the lead, by the CRM system, by Jarvis, that somebody responded. Log in and take over the controls. If you don't take over the controls, the CRM is going to continue to text message that lead and try to keep that person engaged by asking them questions to qualify, as well as even go as far as try to get that person to schedule a 15-minute meeting with you on the calendar. The CRM does it. A lot of those leads believe that it's you texting them back and forth when really it's the CRM system doing it. If the lead calls the CRM, instead of texting back calls, right? The CRM will call you. When you pick up the phone, Jarvis will say to you, hey, you have a lead on the line. His name is John Smith. And then it'll bridge the line and all of a sudden you're talking to the lead. It's freaking cool. It's freaking cool, bro. No lie. And then the CRM has an auto dialer in there. So if you want to do a speed dial session, you can literally say, hey, I'm going to call all these leads, hit a button, boom, and the system starts to call one number after another, after another, after another. And while you're on screen making the calls, you also have a text message box there where you can call, text message, jump to the next call. Call, text message, jump to the next call. And when you're jumping to the next call, there's a voicemail that's dropped behind you. Boom, boom, boom. You can knock out 100 calls in an hour and a half with that system. So why am I telling you this? Someone spends $1,000 a week. They're buying 40 real-time leads, about 150 age leads every single week with that $1,000. And they're using Jarvis to make that high volume of calls, because when you hear the activity of 500 calls a week, you're like, holy crap. Especially if you work a full-time job and you got kids at home, it's like, how am I going to make 500 calls? Yeah. Well, with Jarvis, the ability to make 100 calls in an hour and a half really means that you need to block off 2.5 hours on one day, 2.5 hours on another day to knock out 500 calls. Does that make sense? Yeah. Questions?
Not so far it makes sense. It's good.
Okay, good. Yeah. So now let me talk to you about your calendar, how you should block off your calendar. Okay. Mondays and Thursdays should be dial days. What you're trying to do is on Monday, you're trying to knock out 250 calls. And every single time somebody answers the call, you're trying to schedule that person for Tuesday and Wednesday, the very next days, Tuesday, Wednesday, boom. That's what you're doing on Monday. Thursday, you're making calls and you're trying to schedule all of the people that answer for what days? Friday and Saturday. So you're working your business in 3-day increments. I'm working Monday to go out to the field Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm working Thursday to go out to the field Friday and Saturday. Mondays and Thursdays are dial days. Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday are days for the field. Sundays is either your day for your family, your day to catch up, your day to process business, push papers, whatever. Question.
Yeah. So I forgot. Never mind.
No problem.
Sorry, I forgot.
No, it's all good. It'll come to you. So now the next question you might say is, well, when's my drop by days, right? When am I doing drop bys? In the weekends, because here's the other thing I need you to understand. How many appointments are you trying to schedule? You're trying to schedule 10 a day, right? 10 on Tuesday, 10 on Wednesday, 10 on Friday, 10 on Saturday. Sunday's your catch-up day if you need to. But I want you to understand, out of the 40 appointments you schedule a week, only 10 of them are going to keep. You're going to get a lot of cancellations. So don't be afraid to double book, right? But you're going to get cancellations. Now, out of the 10 that you keep, you should write up, 3 to 4 of them. You should be able to write up 3 to 4 of them. Now, imagine you're making, $1,000 a sale, which is kind of how final expense works, right? Let's say you're averaging 3 a week. 1,000 times 12 in a week you're making $12,000 a month. Not bad, right?
No, it's good.
Not bad at all, right? How do you make $250,000? How do these killers do it? right? 40 appointments scheduled per week is kind of like their minimum is what they're going for. What a lot of them will do is they'll schedule 60 appointments to 80 appointments. And they're double and triple booking because they know not a lot of them are going to keep. Because if 40 appointments equates to 10 appointments kept, then 80 appointments equates to 20 appointments kept. And if you actually keep 20 appointments, you're gonna write up 6 to 7 of them. 6 to 7 will become clients. So now you think about six clients a week become clients, right? 6 times $1,000 in commissions per client is $6,000 a week. Multiply that by 4 weeks in a month, you're making $24,000 a month. How much are you spending every week on leads? About $1,000.
Yeah.
You spend $4,000 in leads, you make $24,000 in earnings, which means your take home is about 20 grand. Congratulations. You're making multiple 6 figures. But they understand these numbers. They understand minimum $500 a week. You can get to $1,000 a week, even better. With an auto dialer, you can definitely do it. Minimum 40 appointments a week. If you can get to 80 appointments a week, even better. Where can I fit them? Double book yourself. Double book yourself. Don't be afraid to schedule meetings on the phone instead of physical face-to-face meetings.
Yeah.
Why? Because drive time slows down your ability to be in the field making money. But if you can go 10 o'clock meeting, 11 o'clock meeting, 12 o'clock meeting, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and they're all over the phone, boom, 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 you're just going back to back. Or Zoom meetings.
Yeah.
Which now leads me to, when you do schedule the meeting, what's your first angle? I try to first schedule a Zoom meeting. If I can't because they're not tech savvy, I'm going to try to do a phone meeting, a telesale. If they're old school and they prefer belly to belly, then I'm going to do a face-to-face. But when I do face-to-face, I want to give them options. Options. Why? Because of COVID-19 and everything that's going on, I got to respect their preferences. So my options start as far away from the house to as close in the house as possible. First option face-to-face is, hey, I'm going to pull up to your driveway. I'm going to be in my car. I need you to come out of the car. I need you to verify your identification. And then I'll call you and you could be at home. I'll be in the car and we'll transact that way. Second method is, hey, we'll meet at the front of your house, at the front porch. I'll bring a little fold-out table, 2 chairs. I'll make sure that we're 6 feet apart. We're outside in the open air. We'll transact business that way. Third option is I'll come inside. And if I'm going to come inside, we'll sit at the kitchen table. We can still do 6 feet apart. If you need me to wear a mask, I will. If you don't, I won't. Your preference. But I give them the options and let them pick what they prefer to do if it's a belly-to-belly meeting. Once they tell me which method they prefer, I don't need to explain to them any more methods. I stop right there. So if they're okay with Zoom, I'm going Zoom. If they're okay with on the phone, I'm going on the phone. And if they're okay, if they want face-to-face and they're okay in the car, me being in their car, that's how I'm doing it. Does that make sense?
It does. I have questions. Yeah, okay. So here, now I remember the question that I'm going to brain fart in. So here's my question. Let's say at the very beginning, let's say I'm starting, I don't have a lot of leads. So at the very beginning, it'll be a little bit tough for me to do, 500 calls a week or so on. So later on, as I get more and more lead, the Jarvis will basically take over it. Then the numbers will basically add up, right?
Yeah, it just keeps adding up. It keeps adding up and keeps adding up. As long as you stay committed to doing at least 500 calls a week, getting on Jarvis at least 2 times a week. Sometimes you might have to get on 3 times. I mean, don't be surprised if you scheduled a full day on Tuesday and everything canceled. You might as well get on Jarvis and knock out another 250, 300 calls. At the end of the day, in sales, the phone call is the first domino. That first domino begins a ripple effect, right? So if you're not in a physical meeting with a client, then you're making phone calls to get in front of clients. That's money making activity. That's all you should be doing during the day, is either being with a client or find a way to get in front of a client. When I'm making phone calls, if I can get on the phone and make the sale right then and there, I will. So if I'm doing my Monday dial day and I'm 200 calls in and number 201 says I'm interested and I'm okay doing it on the phone and can we do it right now? You know what I'm doing? I'm doing that meeting right then and there. I'm going to try to close right then and there and then get back to my phone zone. But urgency is important. Urgency is massively important. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's the way you do it. We have scripts. If you go into the TKO website and you log in, you go to scripts, you can look it up right there. I would look at Jarvis leads scripts. That's the script that's perfect for that. We focus more on final expense because there's a higher quality of leads in that space and the higher demand. But you might have a question and say, well, Tony, I don't have $1,000 a week to spend. Like I'm just getting into business. Start with something and work your way up.
Yeah.
If you said, Tony, I'm going to start with, $250. Okay. Start with $250, right? Let's do it. But it's better to do something instead of not doing anything. And if you make a sale, take half of the money you made for the sale and buy more leads with it. But I need you to understand, you're probably going to invest about 20 to 25 to 30% of your earnings into more leads so you can increase your earnings. But look at the results. You spend $48,000 in leads and you make $250,000 a year. That means you net take home 200 grand. I'm sure you're not upset to spend $48,000 in leads. If the take home is 200 grand, I mean, you're 5Xing your money. Who would be mad?
Nobody.
The next thing after that I would teach you is I teach you how to get referrals, how to build relationships with those clients so that, if you can get a client to refer you into their whole family, those are free leads. And those are much better than anything exclusive you could buy.
Yeah. There's a thing actually, since I already come from a practice company, as of now, I already have a lot of my warm market in business with me, so I guess eventually I'll be getting referrals from them in the next couple of months, So
yeah, of course.
I can learn how to,
Of course.
Because I'm already in business with a lot of my family members.
Yeah, definitely. No, for sure. So, that is the activity that someone should have when they're running a leads-based business. The mistake a lot of people make is they'll buy $200 worth of leads and they don't get results, and they buy another 200, they don't get results. And they're probably not getting results because they're only doing, $30, $40 a day. They're only calling the numbers 2 or 3 times. You're going to call the same number 10 to 15 times. It's crazy. When they finally respond on the 14th call, they act like you haven't called them at all. And you're like, really? It's just the way the business is. And if you're not willing to do drop buys, a third of your income, cut it away. You got to be willing to do drop, especially for final expense, because it's an old school market. Some of those people won't answer a number that they don't know. Some of those people don't even hear the phone when it's ringing. Some of those people are old school to where they're going to talk finances. They want to look at you in the face, belly to belly, shake your hand. So drop buys is crucial.
Question.
Yes.
So I know I got to call back leads at least 15 times, and for drop buys, how many times should I really visit a person's property?
The idea is to drive to go over there ideally when they have the highest probability of being there. So if they're there, great. If they're not there, you can leave them a flyer of what our Kaizen soulmate packet is. Leave them a flyer with your business card. You can't put it in their mailbox because that's a federal crime, but you can leave it at their door. Right. And then from there, honestly, maybe do a second drive-by. But remember, if every week you're still buying more leads, you're going to get flooded with, people that you need to drive by, people you need to call, people. So that's why it's important that you have high levels of weekly activity to keep up so that when you're buying new leads, you would have exhausted that last list to the core and you're not just getting backlogged. Make sense?
Yeah.
That's what I would do. Now, the Kaizen Soulmate packet is a legit, it's a state approved packet. It includes a medical care directive, a last will and testament, and a power of attorney. And it also includes a demographic and a balance sheet. So the client with one packet can write down all of their assets, all of their account numbers, all their emergency contact numbers, have all the legal documents, have a section there to leave a message to the beneficiary, and that's a very important packet that a lot of people should have. The fact that it has those legal documents, you go to an attorney, you'll spend $3,000 on those types of documents. So we offer it for free, but in exchange for what? That sit down with us, be willing to have a financial consultation in order to get it for free. So when you're doing drop buys, if they're not answering, leave them with a flyer explaining what it does instead of actually leaving the actual packet. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We use that packet as well as a way to overcome objections. When people say, I'm not interested, or I already bought insurance or whatever, we let them know on our script, on our calls, hey, just so I'm calling because I'm not a telemarketer or anything like that. I'm calling because I'm a field underwriter and you're in my territory that I'm assigned to. And there is a packet, a state approved packet that you qualify for. This packet is at no cost to you. And it includes a medical care directive, a power of attorney, a last will and testament. You can use it with your existing assets, existing insurances, or any future insurances. Is this something that you care to talk about? And if they say yes, right, great, right? Now, if they say, oh, send it to me, you say, well, listen, the only way I can provide this to you, my department doesn't permit me, my manager doesn't permit me to give this packet to you if you're not willing to give us a 15-minute window to explain to you what pre-qualified insurance as you also qualify for. That's my requirement. I have to be able to share that with you before I can give you the packet. You could do with the data what you want, and I'll give you the packet afterward. But we need to have that conversation first. Right. And it's a hook. It's an attempt to try to get into the meeting, and people love to obtain things for free. And so that tends to get you in the field a lot more. It tends to help you overcome objections when people say, I have insurance already, or I'm not interested, or whatnot. They look at it like, man, I kind of want that free packet. I'll hear this guy out in reference to insurance. And if you get a chance to present insurance, a lot of the times people don't buy because they think it's too expensive. So when you show them something that is cost effective, that won't expire, a lot of times they'll be like, I didn't know that, man. Now that I know that, I will buy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Any questions?
Oh yeah. So here's my question. So for example, I know leads, right? Like leads, like we do business directly with them, you're talking about referral based market. Are we ever going to develop a referral base with our lead? 100%.
I'll tell you this. I don't believe in running a permanent leads gen based business. I don't believe in that. I don't. I believe you got to work in leads if you have no market, but the objective, apart from gaining clients, the other objective is to build rapport with those markets so that they can introduce you to their market.
Yeah.
Because you want to go from a leads-based business to a referral-based business. Brother, when you are running a referral-based business, where you're doing a technique called nesting, where you plant a nest in that family tree and you jump from branch to branch to branch, helping families out. When you run a referral-based business, you're going to sell higher volume. You're going to sell higher quality products, higher volume. You're going to have a lot more retention. You're not going to have to worry about the competition of other agents calling that client. And guess what? 100% of the income is profit because you didn't have to pay for those leads. So I always teach people, you start in leads, but you shouldn't end in leads. That's why when I bring someone on board, my first question to them is, do you have a warm market to begin in? Maybe you'll never have to buy leads. If you don't have a warm market, because you're in the what I like to call the NFL league, right? The no friends left league, and you got to buy leads, then let's learn how to sell those leads. Let's learn how to work those leads, but let's learn how to get you out of leads long term.
Yeah.
Make sense?
That makes sense. It does. So
go ahead. What's your question?
Another question. Yeah. So at what point do I mean, look, let's say I've been in the referral market for long enough now. I'm getting a lot of my business done through that. Should I, let's say later on down the road, will I eventually stop buying leads, or will I still be buying leads?
Hopefully. I mean, it's your prerogative. I have some agents that they swear by it. They'll never leave leads, and that's okay. But my preference is to start in leads, but not end up in leads. I've always found that I've always been able to generate a lot more money in a referral market, in a warm market. Once you start building a book of business, you're talking about having annual reviews with those clients to cross-sell, to additionally sell. Birthday lunches with those people to get referrals. I mean, your client will buy 4 to 7 times in their career, as long as the first time you sold them the right product and you weren't pushy and you have annual reviews. And they'll refer you to new people all the time. So those cases, that's where you're going to find $150,000 annuity rollovers. That's where you're going to find people that are willing to do $500 a month into IULs. Those are the big, cases where you make big money versus little money. But again, I know some people that are very happy making $250,000, $500,000 just running a leads-based business. It's just, you can't stop the wheel. In a leads-based business, you got to keep buying, keep going out to the field, keep going. But both of them are very profitable. Nothing wrong with it. You have an opportunity to test them both out. I will tell you that's why my first question with you is, if you have a warm market, let's start there, because that's the most profitable. If you don't, then let's get into leads. But I needed to have this meeting with you to show you what is the right way to get into leads? What is the wrong way to get into leads? So here's your homework. I want you to come up with a budget you can commit to. Maybe your first order is a big one. That's fine. But after you make that first big order, I want you to come up with a number that you can commit to for a 90-day period, a 12-week period, where every week you're going to buy a batch of leads. I don't care if they're aged, real time. Just every week you commit and you commit and you commit, because you want to measure your business after 90 days of running, not 1 week of running.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Awesome.
That's good. That's good. Now, for anybody watching this video that I just did right now, feel free to reach out to me if you're interested in learning more from some of our own agency owners, from myself personally, from, reach out. Maybe, we're currently right now in about 33 different states, many different territories. Maybe we're in your area. Maybe we're not. Maybe you're going to be the pioneer. But if this is something where you're like, man, Tony, you're speaking to me. This is exactly what I'm looking for. I want to learn how to run a leads-based business. I want access to this Jarvis CRM system. I want access to a non-captive independent market. I want to learn how to get out of leads and get into a warm market, right? And then I want to learn how to do these high-level annuity sales, these IUL sales, premium financing sales, e-com. If that's who you are, I'll give you my number. Just shoot me a buzz, shoot me a text. It's 239-784-1118, 239-784-1118. Feel free to share this video with anybody that is interested in getting to the insurance industry, or maybe already runs a leads-based business and wants to level up and get to that next spot.